Hi, I'm Linda OJ.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Welcome to the next episode of the Next Gen Business Podcast.
Let's go.
The Next Gen Business Podcast is produced by the Small Business Community Network. Visit them online at www.sbcncanada.org.
So, it's nice to be back together again, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's always nice.
Yeah, and we're both in a giggly mood, I know that, because I can tell from that cheeky look on your face. Aww. I've been thinking this week, and it was really difficult because, I'm a bit, blonde. But basically, I've thought about communication between the generations. Like, I'm a mature person, and you're a young college student. And I like to contact people in business by email primarily. Don't really use the phone much, but I do use text. And then I'll grab somebody, on one of the social media sites by message. But I've got the feeling that, maybe your generation, whether it's Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever it is, prefers not to use email so much. Would I be right or would I be wrong?
Well, I feel like because we go to school and we contact our team members through that, and just with work and all that, we go on email as well, but it's kind of more of a professional type of platform for us. So usually if we want to contact someone that's close, it would always be through like text messages, or like meeting someone would be through social media is kind of better for us, because then we can go on your profile, look at who you are, and then send you a message that way. But we still do use email.
Oh, you do? That's nice. What I find being an entrepreneur, having my own businesses, for instance, many, many years ago when I was really desperate to get speaking gigs, that was the day of the faxes. You know what a fax is? Yeah.
I've never sent or received a fax before, but I know what they are.
Well, this is like 20 odd years ago. So basically, I would go online and I would Google for some presentations, and then I would have to, put it in a fax and say, I'd like to speak at your event. And then the fax would come back, yes or no, and I'd pin them all on my board, and I'd get really confused because I wasn't very good at organisation. But the point was, that was my form of communication then, and faxes now, I don't think anybody uses a fax. But what I noticed was, if I was the first one to communicate back, to reply back, I had the best chance of getting that speaking gig. And it's the same now. Say somebody wants to join the business networking group, the SBCM. It's like, if they email me and say they're interested in joining, they'll soon lose interest. What I'm finding though with communication, it's a wild beast. It really is. A lot of our emails go in the junk or the spam, and I'm thinking, do they really, or are they just saying that because they don't want to, read my email? So, what is your favourite form of communication?
Mine would probably be either on social media, so that would be on platforms that I kind of go on the most. So right now that would be Instagram and Facebook, and then I would probably say text message would be the other option. Text messages, or Snapchat's a big one where I communicate, but that's more or less for friends.
Yeah, I don't use Snapchat. My kids do, obviously. So, say for instance, somebody emailed you because they wanted to buy some of your products because you sell hoodies, right? And I know you sell other clothes, but we mentioned hoodies before. So basically, do you have like a different email for your business than you do for, say, college friends, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I have a business email that I have for my business, and I check that all the time, and I have the notifications set up, as well as with my personal one, I do have it set up. But then with my school one, because when you go to school, they give you your own email, and sometimes you have 4 different emails, right? So for some reason, my school one, I don't get notifications, so I have to manually log into that one every day and see if there's anything, any messages. And when I'm in my program and doing my semester, I usually always check that. But then sometimes when it's like Christmas vacation, where I'm not even thinking about school anymore, I don't check that. So that's something that I would prefer, maybe like a social media message or all that.
It's faster, isn't it? Do you think it's faster to have the social media message, yeah?
Yeah, definitely faster. I usually reply quicker on social media than I do over text. I'm not sure exactly why. I do also have like 4,000 emails that are just, how some people delete them and all. Yeah, I don't do that.
I'm going to say, I haven't got my phone at the moment. I'm not going to get off the screen to tell you. I have so many, I'm terrible. I have so many unopened emails, thousands. My daughter sees my inbox. So you were saying you've got 4 email accounts. I'm not even going to tell you how many I've got with 2 businesses and all the other stuff I do. And luckily I've got an admin who takes care of this because I'm terrible. This is one of the things about me. I love to communicate, but I don't like, the work that means deleting emails and doing all that. What I am finding, though, is basically, as I said, if you're an entrepreneur and your communication is not good, that can really hold you back. The other thing is I like a paper trail. So here's an example. So obviously we have members for the SBC and we have people asking if they, can find out more about it. So maybe they message me on my Facebook group, which is purely for the networking organisation. So I noticed the message and I replied back to them, and then they don't come back to me for a while. So then I go off and do something else. Then they come back to me and they want some information in the message on Facebook, which is not good, because basically I want to send them a nice business email telling them all about the business networking organisation. So I say, is it okay if I always ask permission if I can send them an email? And so that's my paper trail then. And then, I like to follow up if they don't reply within a certain amount of time. LinkedIn, again, it's one of those things. I don't mind certain conversations, communication behind the scenes on the message, but I will say I'm very old-fashioned. I like the paper trail of the emails to know that, I'm sending them. What exactly is Snapchat again, like for the communication? How does that work?
So Snapchat, more or less, is for really close friends, and their biggest selling point is that all the messages get deleted after 24 hours. So there's no paper trail or anything like that. So that's why it's only usually for really close friends. But what I have noticed is that because I run my own clothing brand and I have to reach out to influencers and different brands and different pages, like social media pages online, they always have an option sometimes to either email them or send them a message through that platform. And every single time I always message them through the platform just because it's easier for me to do it. And I feel like it's more personalized, like it's more of the brand that's you're kind of messaging them under, and then they could quickly click on your profile and see who you are, like what's that brand about. Whereas if you send an email, then it's kind of not as associated with your brand as I would like. So that's why I personally do it through Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, Dave, he has thousands of emails, obviously the corporate world in his own business, and he doesn't check his personal ones till the evening. And sometimes, say he's been working away in another country and I've been stuck here, basically I'll go, did you get my text? No. Did you get my email? Didn't get a chance, had to go out to dinner. So one year I treated him to an Apple Watch, the smartwatch, and I said, if ever you see me pop up, it's urgent. Don't leave it till I'm desperate. And so I say, look at his watch. I go, I'm here. It's dinner time. I'm so bad. Communication can get in the way of your life, your personal life. People now, because I'm so good at communicating by email quickly, if they don't get an answer from me and they really want an answer, they go, are you okay, Linda? And that's another thing personally. So, I broke a bone in my foot recently. I was a bit down, I was a bit depressed, dumbo, breaking the bone again in my foot. So my daughter texted me and I didn't answer, one of my sons did, and my hairdresser, Tony, he's absolutely amazing, he's a great friend. So Melissa's asking Dave if I'm okay, Tony's asking Melissa, and Dave says, why don't you ask yourself? And then they said, she's not replying. So creature of habit, I am known what to do for certain members of family. If I don't do it, they worry. And so in business, as an entrepreneur, you're doing great by replying on the platforms that you really like, and you're doing it in a professional way. Do you think communicating to strangers in any possible way you can and trying to sell to strangers is a good way to go? Because I don't.
So I personally, I don't, depending on what product it is or what service you're providing, for my specific thing, it's a brand, and I want to make sure that the brand is always has this high value. So I don't want to be seen as that brand that bothers people. So I would never go out of my way to go message individual customers or anything like that. What I do is that I go on specific hashtags, that maybe fashion hashtags, and I'll click on pictures and be like, wow, that's a really nice outfit. And then that's kind of like putting yourself out there with a brand without being too much to them or trying to bother them too much. Is giving them a nice compliment. And then usually they just click on my profile, like my brand, and then they follow me. And sometimes they send me a message being like, hey, can you send me some free clothing? And then I'm like, I can't do that, but I can give you a discount. And that's how I start my conversations with them. But I think there are businesses where they do that.
That is a cool way to communicate. But like, I get many emails saying your website, could be the top of, Google and all that kind of thing. And I think, I don't know who you are, and it's insulting because I'm already at the top anyhow. So, why don't you do your research first? So if you're an entrepreneur or a small business or just starting up, emailing strangers, give me a job, buy my hoodie, whatever, does not work, people. You're doing it the right way. Question, when you communicate with the person who asked for a freebie, if they're a really famous influencer, I'm sure your answer would be, yes, take a hoodie for free, wear it and take photos of it.
Yeah, of course. So usually I'm still brand new. I don't get a lot of big influencers coming up to me, so I have to reach out to them. And the way I do it is send them a personalized message being like, hey, I just saw that you have this many followers. I really like what you do, and I think we'd work well together. Why don't, if you want to work with us, we can send you a free t-shirt, and in exchange, maybe you can make a couple videos for us or something like that. Let me know what you think. It's always like up to them to decide. I don't really like to push it too much on them to do it. So I find that works a lot with the way I kind of reach out at ambassador and stuff like that. And then if they do well and the collaboration goes well with them, then I would be like, hey, let's do a collection together and something like that, which I'm currently doing right now. But the one thing about communication now that we're talking about it is that if you're an influencer, just because you have a lot of followers doesn't mean you can't reply back to people.
Yes, that's it exactly. You are never too famous to reply.
Yeah, and because I had a situation where I contacted influencers and they're like, yeah, perfect, let's do a collection together. And I'll be like, okay, we're going to do a design. Let me know what design you want to do, and we can get it started so that we can get a February launch. And then they just don't reply. And then I'm like, hey, I sent them another message. But so it's important to, if you do decide you're going to do something, make sure that you communicate with people properly.
Yeah, that is a really good way. I get frustrated at that as well. And Dave said, sweetheart, you can't expect everybody to reply immediately like you. And I go, well, it's been 2 weeks. And yeah, and if somebody promises to do something for me or work with me and they're not, on the ball, I can be a right mean person because communication is so important to me, and keeping the word. Well, I'm not an influencer, and I don't want every free hoodies. So there. In fact, maybe if you do pink ones when I'm an influencer one day, I might have one. It's funny, isn't it? And also communication in our social media posts. People don't realise it's communication that a lot of people are reading. So if they're giving the wrong message, people think, well, you communicate by email, by phone, by text. That is communication, and you may be coming over wrong, but you seem to have the right idea. You really seem to have the right idea.
Yeah, I think that making sure that you engage with your customers through social media. So if you're a brand, like what I'm trying to do is I'm building a brand, so I can't just post one photo every week. I usually have to do three a week just to keep my customers engaged and all that. And that's the form of communication that I use is through pictures. Another thing is make sure that when you're writing your captions that they're like grammatically correct, because that's one thing that sometimes I don't look at and I'm like, oh God, I spelled that wrong or something. And I have my friends messaging me, being like, hey, you spelled that wrong. And I'm like, oh, God.
That's embarrassing. And I like to make my own captions for graphics, when I'm sharing stuff. And somebody from England said, it's great, but I'm not going to share it. I go, why? He goes, because you've made a spelling mistake. And I mean, I was mortified, I really was. But I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, if we can communicate that we're sorry we made a mistake instead of saying, no, you're wrong, that's how you spell it, then you don't end up looking silly, do you? And I love somebody to communicate, I've made a mistake, I don't know about you, because that way you can better it, can't you?
Yeah, I definitely love it when people kind of point out anything that they like have suggestions for me to fix or stuff like that, just because it makes your brand better, or just whatever you're trying to do makes it better. And then you get different input too. Because
you keep mentioning brand, and I love that because I'm really into brands, as you know. And like, if you want people to talk about you, the message that you convey is communication. So what you're conveying to me now, but I know you, but you know, for the people who are listening, is that basically you're very into building your brand. You're very supportive. It's not just about you. That is a form of communication. That is your message. So if we met at a networking event, I'd be saying, you know, he's a really nice guy to get to know. It's not just about him. Some people communicate to me, it's all about them. So I go, don't go and talk to that guy. He just wants to sell to me. Seriously, communication can be dangerous.
Yeah, if you don't do it right, I feel like people can easily jump to conclusions about who you are, kind of what you do, but it's always important to make sure that you don't say anything that's going to be either offensive or just not go in with your overall brand or image that you want to portray.
And do you think sometimes people on social media in general don't realise that sometimes the whole world is watching them and reading their communication, and then basically sometimes it comes over as well, I wouldn't want to work with that person because, you know, their communication is coming over as this, that or the other. And people don't realise that once you're online, everybody, I know you have friends on Facebook and, you know, LinkedIn and all that is locked up, but snatched by the search engine. So somebody's searching for you and you're going, wow, did that person really say that or do that and communicate that message? So again, communication is not just about the emails we send and the texts we send, but I found out today that the best way to get hold of you is by text. And this is why I went this angle. Because I like answers to my emails. I'm just teasing you. This is a really, really good. I'm very lucky. When I started my first business, Motivational Steps, Dave said immediately, if you're going to communicate as a business and your brand very important, don't have a Gmail. Don't have what's the other emails that people have?
Hotmail.
Yeah, don't have a Hotmail. Don't have a Gmail. You spend a bit of money on a domain name, so Linda at motivationalsteps.com or Linda at SBC in Canada, because that's setting you up to communicate professionally from day one. So quite a lot to go into communication, really, not just please reply to my email, Aaron.
Yeah, there's a lot of back end things for that, especially like Dave was saying, that making sure that you have a professional email goes a long way, especially if you're contacting other companies. It goes a long way.
The other thing is for the spammers out there, because I'm going to be really mean now, if you're going to spam Dave, do it properly. He had one the other day. I can't remember the exact words. It was a female. Well, it could have been a female. She had a female name and it was, I don't know, I would like you to buy my widget, but there was nothing to click on. So I don't know how she was going to gain anything. There was no information. She obviously wasn't fishing. And if Dave is sometimes in a naughty mood, he will email them back and tell them the mistakes they're making when they're spamming him. So his communication can be quite mean. So if you're going to spam somebody, do it properly, people. Aren't we mean? We are really mean. I think email is going out of fashion. I think less people are using it, and obviously I'll continue using it because I've been using it for many years. But even my daughter, you know, text and all the things you've mentioned, that is what she uses. And if I email her, she goes, more. Obviously she has email at work, you know, but basically privately or personally, she said, no, Mum, let's do text. So I think it's the way to go. Did we decide which generation you are yet? Z, Y, X? I'm teasing. It's horrible. Do you think it's horrible having all these like labels Does it matter what generation you are? I'm going to communicate to you the same way I would anybody else. It doesn't matter whether you're Gen Y, Z or whatever it is, you know. I think it's funny having all these labels. Well, it made me laugh again. That's always important. We can't have a boring podcast, can we? So maybe next time. I love the idea you came up with, the human resources, because people at college, university are going to be looking, to contacting human resources for many reasons. So, and they're going to be watching you online. That's a really good topic, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome if we can bring someone in. I'd have to see if I know anyone in the human resource kind of industry to see if I can bring them over and have them answer some questions. We'll make some jokes for them so that they can laugh and all that.
If you don't laugh, there's no point. You have to laugh, don't you? Yeah. So I guess I'm going to have to say goodbye to you.
Until our next podcast, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Check us out at www.nextgenbusinesspodcast.com.